Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your weekly general tarot with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, for those of you that are new to my channel, there's been an influx of lots of new people into the Radiant Nation. I just want to say a massive thank you so much for trusting me on this journey and coming along to be a part of it with me. For those of you that are continued subbies, you know Rafi loves you and you know you have my heart. This week, when obviously every week when I do the weekly general, I go into my intuition and I ask for an intuitive message to show me what the overarching theme of this week and what message we really kind of need to know. Now, with that said, this week the message was be prepared, or not be prepared, it was begin gathering your amplifiers. So I'm going to give you an example here. So if you've been with me long enough, you know this. I absolutely love crows. I have done since I was very young. It's just an animal to me that I love their energy. I love how intelligent they are. And whenever I see one, I've even got friends and family will say to me oh, you know, the other day I saw a crow and I thought of you, right? It's one of the things that people now that have known me for long enough, they associate with me. And very often it's when they're really deep in thought or trying to find an answer to something and then they see a crow and they think of me, which is just, you know, it's a really wonderful feeling. But that's something that for me, when I see them, it lifts my energy. That to me is an amplifier, right? And so for some people it's a crystal, for some people it is a certain type of food or a specific day or an observance of the year. Whatever it might be, this is the time this week. Start gathering to you the things that, you know, and they can be things that are representative. Obviously I wouldn't keep a crow in my house, but I do have a little, here it is. It's an amulet that is shaped as a crow's beak, and it's made of obsidian, and that to me is one of my amplifiers. I love it. It's just a gorgeous piece that I found many years ago now, but that, right, so just to give you an example, so I will say to you this week, find your amplifiers. Amplifiers can be people. You know, you've got people that you connect with and you whenever you see them, you leave just so much more energized. And then you've got people and things that are not amplifiers. And so this week you want to stay away from those. Start gathering to you, or start really learning. Another way that you can do this week would be to really start to understand what are your personal correspondences. So yes, you can look at your day of birth and your day of the week and, you know, what color is associated to your sign and all of that kind of stuff. That's one way to do it. And, you know, that's a really good way. It's a way that a lot of us start out when we're just, you know, babies on our spiritual path. But this week, I want you to take that deeper, right? I invite you to take that deeper. I invite you to really start to understand what your correspondences are. What are the things that really amplify your personal power? What are the things that really resonate with you? And I would love to hear from you in the comments. If it's not too personal, obviously, you know, share. Let me know, what are some of your amplifiers? What are some of the things out there in the world that really lift or support your energy, or at least get you to be able to channel and access your personal power that much more? Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to pop these to the side there, and I'm going to give these a good shuffle. All right, so this is your, this is the Human Design Oracle deck. And we've got this week the Gate 34 and power. So yes, this card is about power. And it really is about, right, and what is an amplifier? It's something that amplifies your personal power. We're in the universal year number 8, which is all about power and control dynamics. It's all about the energy that comes from within. It's also about the structure and the hierarchy of our world. It's about how we utilize, tap into, and access and wield our personal power, right? So the fact that we've got this card, I actually think is extremely powerful. What I will also say as well, the message behind this card isn't just about your personal power. It's not just about power, it's also about your personal power, but more importantly, it's about your unique power. What is unique to you? What is it that you do or are able to do or able to access or able to influence more or better than anybody else that you know, right? This is one of the things. And the message behind this card, as I say, yes, it's about personal power, but it really is actually about your individual experience, or even the process of individuation, right? Knowing who you are within the scope of the whole, right? This is one of the reasons that I love being an Aquarius. I am a total freak, a total Fruit Loop. I'm completely outside of and a separate of all of my groups. Every so often my Cancer moon gets a little bit lonely about the whole thing, but for the most part I love that because I understand my role within the world. And that itself, right, is a form of personal power. So start to really get into, as I say, your correspondences. Start to really gather to you your amplifiers this week. All right, so for our destiny cards, we've got the Page of Wands. So your unique creative ability is what's going to lead you to understanding, or at least it's going to lead you to really being able to pull them in. All right, now then you've got the Page of Pentacles, but it's not enough just to have the idea. You're going to have to act on it as well, and you're going to have to develop it, right? And then we've got the Seven of Wands. So interesting, because we had a different deck last week, but we had the same card in the same position, which means that whatever sort of combusted last week, we have a follow-on of it this week, right? So we're going to probably be revisiting it at some point. But 2 pages, interestingly enough, represents the energy of disquiet. So there could be some kind of inner stirring or movement that happens this week, right? You have this idea, you maybe gather something to yourself. And this is the thing, when you find your amplifiers, when you find the things that naturally switch you on, when you find the things that naturally empower you, what happens? Everything around you has to change in order to not even accommodate, but to accept you in the newfound way that you are. Sometimes that means that things, people, places, situations, enemies, detractors, supporters, etc., are going to have to shift and change as well. And that means sometimes your boundaries or your buttons are going to get pushed or pressed upon, or even, bent a little. And at that point, you have to really ask yourself, am I standing in my power? So there's that element of this as well. Now, the Page of Wands, as I said, this is the idea. This is the, the inkling or the thing or your own creative spark or energy that sort of really ignites. The Page of Pentacles is where you have to do something with it. And with the Seven of Wands, this may be that whatever your amplifier is, or however you're shifting, like the destiny of this week is shifting you, it's taking you into a space where you are going to have to find it within you to defend or utilize, or again, wield your personal power. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes in life we need to have those tests to actually affirm and confirm that we are actually standing in our power, and then it's not just lip service, right? That we pay to ourselves or to our ego, or to, I'm holding my boundaries from now on. And everyone's like, yeah, okay. And then they try to, right? Like, I've got this saying that I came up with years ago, and it's, people love that you don't take any shit until they try to give you some, right? Now, for our direction cards, how do we best tap into this idea that might come divinely guided? Well, through the Hierophant, potentially through prayer, potentially through some kind of self-initiation, but also definitely through really checking your intentions via your actual habits and routines. What you're doing on a day-to-day basis, does it truly reflect you standing in your power? Are you eroding your own power? The other way that this could also potentially come up is that you meet, when they say what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, right? Well, what if you're presented with something that is seemingly bigger than you this week? Are you still going to hold that same power? Then you've got the Page of Cups, okay, very interesting. And then you've got the King of Swords, right? So the King of Swords is also a personal power card, but it's like the King of Swords is like your mental personal power. It's like your expertise, effectively. Now, with all of this, obviously you've got this Page of Cups in the middle here. One of the things that I will say to you, because you've got the 2 pages here, you've got this 3rd page, 3 pages represents a dispute. And I got to be honest, with the Hierophant and the King of Swords, that's potentially a legal dispute that will come up. With the Page of Cups involved in this, the greatest piece of advice I could give you this week is respond, but don't react. Right? A reaction is knee-jerk. It comes from that gut place because you're feeling fight or flight. Whereas if you respond, it means that you've thought about it. Take a breath before whatever it is that comes up this week. Take a breath before you act. Okay, that's something that I want you to be really, really clear on this week. Now, in terms of how we use it, the Hierophant card, as I said, it could be through prayer. With the Page of Cups, this could be really searching your feelings as to why the reaction that you're having is coming up. And with the King of Swords in tow, this could also be that there is... you could utilize maybe you realize very quickly actually that you have some kind of skill or expertise that you're really just not using, right? Now, all of this in combination, the King of Swords can represent an air sign male, an Aquarius, Gemini or Libra, who plays a supportive role in soothing your emotions or helping you move or shift into a greater sense of alignment and peace, but through a very practical sort of application. Now, this I find really interesting because what I'm basically talking about there is the clearing cohort. That's exactly what it's designed to do. So I'm kind of like, ooh. But really interesting stuff. Now, on the wider world stage, this is going to be more of the same. But I think as we progress through this week, we're probably likely to see more of the, more of the legal slash, what's the word that I'm trying to think of? The legal or the... when people start talking about the Geneva Convention and all of that kind of stuff, like the bureaucratic side of it, that's the word that I was looking for. I think up until now it's just been a lot of posturing and a lot of craziness and all the rest of it, but I actually think this week we're going to see some of those bigger words and thoughts and connections and stuff thrown around. So it'll be interesting rather to see how this plays out. With that said, let me know in the comments how it shapes up for you or what you see in the world. I love it when you guys message me. I get emails, I get not phone calls, but I get emails, I get DM messages on Instagram. Some people will post a link and say, you talked about this and here it is unfolding. And while it is lovely to know that I got stuff right, it's not about my ego. It's about the fact that we understand as a collective, the Reydiant Nation, that the Oracle of Tarot is doing the work that it was designed to do. So love it. Anyway, with that said, take care. I love you.